It's hard to believe that it can happen, but it's happening. It's getting even worse for Sweet Baby Inc. What a time to be alive.
Hey, what's up guys, Rick here. So today we're once again talking about the ongoing downfall of Sweet Baby. Now we know gamers have rejected this company in any game that they have collaborated with, but it seems clear now that the industry itself is starting to reject Sweet Baby. We're seeing various studios outright denouncing their connections to Sweet Baby, and we're now seeing some former Sweet Baby Inc. employees being black.
Make no mistake though, these companies, if this didn't happen, they would keep working with them, and they probably are working with them in the shadows to get that sweet, stupid ESG score. Thank you, Soros, for ruining the world.
Listed from the industry. Now, before we get into those examples, let's see the meat and potatoes of this video. A very unhinged meltdown from a Sweet Baby employee. This is one of the many meltdowns we have seen, and this really defines why people are so turned off by this organization and its employees. So here is the headline. Sweet Baby Inc. employee.
Wow. It's exactly what you would expect to be working in a place like that. Isn't that insane?
Admits goal is burning the games industry to the ground. I mean, a perfect summation.
Makes sense. Everyone who is not on their side is an enemy to be destroyed. Do not pity these creatures. They would not pity you.
Of what they're trying to do. Basically burn the industry to the ground and then rebuild it with their own DEI nonsense. So let's take a look into this whole thing. So I'm sure you already saw this upload from about a year ago because it comes from your favorite YouTube channel, Game Devs of Color Expo. And here,
no idea who they are, but I already hate it on a personal level.
Here's this absolute banger that was dropped by this Sweet Baby Inc. employee titled, How to Get Away with Murder, Subverting Genre Expectations. I can't...
Also, look at the number of views, 666. You can't make this up.
Think of a more proper title where the attitude is, let's burn the industry to the ground, than a title of How to Get Away with Murder. And as you can see from the like-dislike ratio, it's going over really well with people. And it's not lost on me, too, that when I took this screenshot, the view count was at...
It's kind of completely insane to think about it, because most people in this world are not insane. Most people are normal. Exactly, just your average normal people with a few skeletons in their closet with dreams, aspirations, and all of this. But if that's most people, and I firmly believe most people are normal, how the hell are we allowing these absolute psycho lunatics who have more mental illnesses than are currently in existence known to actually have this much power? It's just insanity.
At 666. Very foreboding number right there. But who is this person making this TED Talk here? Well, their name is Cameron Wild, and as you can see, they have worked on many Sweet Baby titles, including Tales of Kenzera, as well as Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Suicide Kill the Justice League, Alan Wake, yeah, those are probably the best ones known. And God of Ragnarok, let's not forget that one.
Alan Wake 2, and God of War Ragnarok, which we'll talk about later in this video. Now, for the PowerPoint presentation itself, I will just describe the beginning of this video just to give you a sense of what we're dealing with, and then we'll watch some clips from it. So, we begin with this slide right here saying, cool, so why am I here? And here's the goals. We want a cooler set of stories, a safer world.
Which you cannot make when everything is offensive. So this is impossible. I don't know if they're delusional or what, but that's never happening. You can't have interesting, unique, and aspiring stories in a world where everything is some form of mentally unhinged transgression.
And we want to burn the games industry to the ground. Yes, they want to burn it to the ground and then rebuild it with their own DEI-infected nonsense. That is the entire goal of Sweet Baby from the start, and they're not even
always was
subtle about it. Here's another slide talking about really what's appropriate and what they're trying to do with their various stories. And you can see right here, some of their goals is to stop people who are uncomfortable hearing that not every story is theirs to own. And when they're talking about everyone, they're talking about white people. I think that's not too surprising. And they go on to say that
The absolute irony of a statement like that is the fact that, oh, these stories made by white people for white people, they shouldn't exist. They need to be replaced of stories of whatever fucking type of chocolate this is supposed to be with, the appropriate type for me. They'd effectively call this is just the kennel calling the pod black. It's insane.
Basically, when you do a genre well, it's going to go deep into that and make people uncomfortable, and also that you have to prove that spaces where whiteness doesn't have to live is where some of the best stories are told. So basically,
Last time I looked into any of that, it was typically a story about slavery.
they're outright saying that they don't want any sort of whiteness in their stories. A good story can't be told if there's a significant amount of whiteness, and that will be a common theme. They'll also go on to say what their favorite film is. One of their favorite films is Blazing Saddles, and the reason they like this is because it isn't respectful. It's offensive, but it offends the right people because the jokes come at the expense of whiteness. Yes, it is offensive, but it's okay because the target of these offensive jokes in the movie are white people. So, throughout this presentation, there's a lot of talk about Quentin Tarantino. The Sweet Baby employee has a big problem with Tarantino, calling him an edgelord and saying all these things about his privilege as a white man directing these movies, and that the product of his content, his movies, is something that reflects a patriarchal, white supremacist society. And he even goes further to say that Tarantino has not earned the right to laugh.
Sort of a context version of art is supposed to make people uncomfortable. As an auteur, Quentin Tarantino feels like someone who grasps after.
Oh, she doesn't know how to pronounce the word author. Okay. Auteur.
Edginess when they don't really have any human tragedy to explore the depths of. They don't understand that growth comes from trauma, sure, but it also comes from joy. He holds a no pain, no gain kind of mentality that I think is unshakably.
Almost no growth ever comes from joy. There is some, but it's very specific and rare.
Rooted in white supremacist patriarchal values. In a scene where the KKK are shown to be a crew of bumbling idiots, we get a feeling that Tarantino is almost there and capable of some genuinely good comedy. But even in reducing such an iconic avatar of racism to a bunch of fools, we're made to feel that racism itself feels silly to Tarantino. But he hasn't earned the right to laugh.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this Sweet Baby employee tells Quentin Tarantino that he has not earned the right to laugh. That is something that is quite unhinged, but not too unsurprising for a Sweet Baby employee. Now we continue on, they'll have some more comments about Tarantino, and it gets pretty unhinged. So on the one hand, they're going to say that, hey, look, I don't hate.
I wonder, does she know who were the primary owners of slaves and slave ships? Questionable.
Quentin Tarantino. I don't have this big issue with Tarantino, but I hope that one day all of their works are criticized out of existence. They literally want Tarantino basically removed from any conversation of media.
In Tarantino's case, the man seems to thrive on people hating him, and so I don't hate him. But I do think his work needs to be critiqued.
That was such an absolutely out of this world petty attempt to be higher than someone else I have ever heard in my life. Pathetic.
Out of existence. And that he specifically has to be addressed in any discussion of that work.
Ooh.
Because Tarantino is capable of genre filmmaking, but the genre he's chosen with Django is blaxploitation.
Yeah, that is a mask-off Sweet Baby Inc. employee, or really just a regular Sweet Baby Inc. employee at this point.
No, seems like a pretty high percent of all the people who are on the left in America in general.
but they would wrap up their PowerPoint presentation with this slide right here, saying certain things about the execution of media and what makes a piece of media something that is good. And in this, they say, in a good genre, the identity of your character, specifically your heroes, must define their challenges in the narrative, but it must also define their triumphs. And that good genre must consider the relationship to power. Basically, they're saying that if you have a character of whatever race, the struggles it faces must reflect that of the race of the person they are playing, which is absolutely insane and also pretty stereotypical, am I right?
That's so stupid.
I mean, it just sounds very unhinged.
By the way, wanna bet that this person is rich? Wanna bet that they're some kind of rich liberal?
But anyways, I want to shout out to Kirsha here. It was actually her tweet right here that helped me go down this rabbit hole with the latest Sweet Baby nonsense. But as you can see, this is the least of their problems. There's a lot more we have to say about Sweet Baby today because they are facing endless controversy. Let's begin right here with this latest headline. Former Sweet Baby Inc. employee implies developers did not want to hire him after working for Kim Belair's company.
We already heard about this one. This is music to my ears.
You reap what you sow, I guess. Well, this employee we're talking about is, of course, Kazuma Hashimoto. We've talked about him.
Disgusting. Also, yeah, wait, is she even Japanese? No, doesn't look like it. So, yeah, this person just changed their surname, so it was true. Because this is what people were commenting. This is not one, even a person of Japanese descent, has never lived in Japan, never been to Japan, and just changed their surname, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a good grift in America, not gonna lie.
A couple times in the past week or so because...
But then again, everything's a good grift in America if you just do it right, or even semi-right nowadays.
Because he is a Sweet Baby Inc. employee, a former one. He worked there until 2023. And he was used in a New York Times article that was defending Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed Shadows from criticism stemming from this release. Now, in the article, he says many things to the New York Times. He basically displaces all blame for criticism of Assassin's Creed Shadows onto angry Western gamers. He claims that there are no people in Japan upset about this game. In fact, he goes even further to say...
Oh yeah, we heard that. That's hilarious. All the Japanese people upset about this don't exist. That's you get Japan for being too white adjacent.
Say that a bunch of English-speaking users on the internet were LARPing as Japanese users trying to stir outrage on that side of social media. Now, of course, that can be easily debunked for a million different reasons, but the easiest one to notice is the Ubisoft Japan trailer for Assassin's Creed Shadows. I showed this about a week ago, and the like-dislike ratio has actually gotten worse. Back then, it was about 97% dislikes. Now, it's at like 98+%. It's actually gotten worse. In that time period, it's gained only a few, like a single-digit number of likes, but another 2,000 dislikes. It's actually impressive how bad this like-dislike ratio is. Now, what's interesting here is that Kazuma would actually go onto Twitch and do a live stream where he would talk about this whole situation with Sweet Baby, and this was captured by Smash JT here in a now deleted VOD from Twitch, where he would go on, Hashimoto would talk about how basically his couple of years working at Sweet Baby has caused him actual trouble in the hiring process currently, where he is having a hard time finding jobs.
I like to hear that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a petty person. Hey, if you try to ruin me, to hell with you, okay? If you try to ruin the things I like, I'm not gonna show the other cheek. I'm gonna take my fist and shove it up somewhere. In you. And hopefully you don't like that because there's a chance you might, but then we're gonna switch it up.
Because of his connection to Sweet Baby. It's literally like a scarlet letter A in the industry because nobody wants to work with anyone connected with Sweet Baby.
You guys do know, like, there are definitely jobs that I've had where, like, people have seen, like, the fact that I've worked for...
Oh god, the word like is, like, being said, like, a lot, like, here in this, like, video. Oh, yeah, that's the worst thing, like, ever. Oh, can we just Can we just execute everyone who uses the word like way too often?
For Sweet Baby, and it's been like a year since I've even worked with them. And it's just on like a contractual basis when I was, so like just periodically for like
So what? This person says like every 5 words, pretty much.
a couple of years. People will literally be like, "Hey,
Yeah,
are we gonna get harassed for hiring you?"
like.
And I think that really.
Oh no, they didn't insert like that. That's the longest sentence they have ever said without using the word like. I'm proud.
Sucks that instead of being like, "We'll protect our employee," the employer or potential person giving you the contract will be more concerned about that than protecting their employees.
Yes, you can hear the world's smallest violin playing for Hashimoto here. Basically, nobody feels sorry for you. You worked with Sweet Baby. You took the money to help integrate all this DI nonsense into games for years, and you even turned around after you...
Also, what is this? Is this like a reverse transmission? Kind of looks like it by the by the hand a little bit. It's hard to tell what the hell is this even supposed to be.
You were already no longer employed with Sweet Baby to defend Ubisoft in Assassin's Creed Shadows in a New York Times article where you make yourself basically the highlight, the main
Hey, look at this from the bright side. They probably can become a games journalist now.
source that all of this outrage over the game is limited to a bunch of angry bigots in the West. The whole thing is absolutely ridiculous, but not the only thing that Sweet Baby is dealing with right now. So, as you can see by the headline here, the Sweet Baby effect. God of War Ragnarok, peak player count, less than half of God of War. Now, looking at the situation, you can see that God of War Ragnarok is a Sweet Baby product. And another one, kind of like Alan Wake 2, where people who defend Sweet Baby always point to these games saying, wow, what a success. Well, as it turns out, since the recent Steam release of Ragnarok, their peak concurrent player count of 31,000 is less than half of what the Steam peak concurrent player count was for God of War. So less than half is their peak now for this new one. So you have the original one, God of War, with no Sweet Baby involvement, and then God of War Ragnarok with Sweet Baby involvement, and they get less than half of the peak player count. That is the Sweet Baby effect. And things are getting even worse because, like I said earlier in the video at the start, gamers have rejected Sweet Baby for a long time. But now the industry is starting to reject Sweet Baby, and whether that is fully within their desires, I don't know. Maybe they've been forced to do it at this point because they know as a business,
Probably.
it's a bad thing to be associated with them. But things have gotten to a boiling point where you see this this headline, Sweet Baby Inc. removes Square Enix from its client list on its website. And as you can see, a long time ago, they were planted right there. You can see them between Ubisoft.
Xbox Game Studios, beautiful. Ubisoft, Dragon Age, Rogue Guard, anyone? Warner Brothers, Valve. Sad. Do I recognize any other of these? Remedy, didn't Remedy go completely the way of the dodo? Wizards of the Coast, ha. The Black Lord of the Rings expansion and the current House Duskmourn House of Horrors expansion. The cards are decent, but the art is definitely as fucking Zoomer Vogue as it possibly could be. It's kind of pathetic. What else do we have here? Don't see too much else that I kind of recognize. 2K.
In Warner Bros., which is a terrible spot to be in. I would not want to be between those two companies. Ubisoft facing a million flops right now. And on top of that, Warner Bros. Responsible for the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League flop that cost them $200 million. But now you see the client list, they have been removed. And whether that is something that is definitive, where they're...
Wait. 2 things had been removed, it looks like. Square Enix. That looks like 1. But what else got removed? Avalanche Studios? No, Avalanche Studios is still there. I don't see it, but something else also seems to be have been removed. Interesting.
Kind of publicity thing where they don't want to be publicly associated with Sweet Baby. We don't know, but it's very clear that these studios are very, very nervous about being connected to Sweet Baby in any sort of a meaningful way. And on top of that, I want to point out here one more thing. Whenever I see this, I think it's important to include people on the Japanese side of Twitter are also noticing this stuff involving Sweet Baby, which I think is very important because the same thing happened with anime and manga localizers when there was a lot of drama involving that about a year ago, where Japanese users were completely unaware that all this nonsense was happening in localizations of Japanese products. And the same thing seems to be happening with all this nonsense.
Oh, the localization is such a bad thing that's happening. They are literally just taking a sentence of 10 words and condensing it into the word fuck now that when they're translating stuff. It's abysmal.
Nonsense involving Sweet Baby and their DEI integration and consultation into these games, and it's good to see that. Now, one thing I want to end this video on is talking about the movie Am I Racist by Matt Walsh. Now, personally, I disagree with a lot of Matt Walsh's points. I think he can be pretty cringe at times. Like, just get his opinion on anime, where only a few months ago he called anime demonic. But I will say, like the guy or not, this was a great movie. I saw it yesterday, and
I have not seen it. I don't know. Does it seem even interesting? I don't know. Well, whatever. What's the company that does that stuff? Matt Walsh and Daily Wire? Well, whatever. That was Rev Says Desu. Bye.